Alrighty, hello everybody. Welcome to our fifth week of the EDL Waveline. This is your host Exernia, and tonight I am joined by the one and only Matt Pizza and Sultan. He is, I think, our first time having him on the EDL Waveline. He's our one of our usual guests on the Gold
It
Waveline.
is actually it is my second time. The
Oh,
first time I just didn't speak, so
oh yeah, you're right. I remember that. The first time you were
yeah,
just sitting in the call muted, right? Yes, I remember.
yeah,
So,
Mhm.
Sultan, if you
indeed.
want to go and introduce yourself this time.
Well, hello. Maybe most of you know me, but I'm Sultan. I've played in leagues before, and I'm the gold admin for EGL. And yeah, that's basically me.
Yep, so it's good
So
to have Sultan. We originally anticipated Clutch being on the show tonight as well, but he had something to do, so his predictions will be up on the screen, but we'll I don't know. I think they're there for record keeping at this point, but all right, we'll go straight into it. We're going to look at last week. We had the Unlucky Esports Academy versus Hyperion Shadow and CB Resurrection versus Feed the Dream. So in the first series, Hyperion won 2-1 against Unlucky Esports Academy. I don't remember what I remembered earlier, and then as soon as I want to like recall on that information, it's gone. Um, I don't remember if UEA won the first game, but it was a good series. I think they won the. You know what? I'm just gonna quickly check. I'm pretty sure they
They,
lost, right? The
they
first
yeah, they
game.
lost the first series and then they won the next two. Hyperion
Yeah,
did.
so they technically reverse swept UEA, and then so I did look at a bit of the CB Resurrection versus Feed the Dream series. I remember watching. It was a full three-game series as well. I don't remember if they won the first or
I
second game again.
believe it was a reverse sweep again as well, but I'm opening it up. So
I do know that the third game, I caught a glimpse of. One hand was streaming, and I looked at the third game. It was a really, really close game. It was a really like I think it was like a 40, 50 minute game or something. It was really close. So, um, yeah, I mean those two were really close and good series in the Lunari division, and then in the Solari division. So Bissell Emerald, if you guys didn't see the stream last week, so Bissell Emerald they used an ESUB that turned out to be a Smurf. So after one game, we ended the stream. Um, but technically, Abyssal Emerald won that first game with the ESUB, but then we counted it as a loss, and then the win became a 2-0 for the Crosspoint Koalamos. And then in the last series of that week, we have MIT versus Big Duck Entourage. And this was a 2-0 for MIT. And, MIT, they've been looking really good in the season. They're 3-0 now in series, I believe. Um, yeah, so we'll start back at the beginning. Matt Pizza, you just told me that you looked at UEA and Hyperion.
hmm so okay. So game one, UA, they popped off, right? Everyone just was on point. You have a 5-1 Senna. Um, I say Senna because I looked at this draft again and it just hit me. I don't really know who the top laner is. I think Lucerus played Senna top in this matchup.
I do have
Um,
USN top.
now that's something spicy. I didn't like. I was looking at it. It didn't register with me. Now that it did, that's pretty
Okay,
impressive.
Matt Pizza, as a set and top lane player, how would you feel being tomorrow playing against a Senna top?
Yeah, no, it's like like the only way Senna wins this is with the Stridebreaker, right? And you hope to God that Senna does not just poke you out of lane and just deny you CS. And like CS wise, Tomorrow did a pretty good job, right? He's even in CS, but like everything else, he kind of like fell a little bit short, and like the center top was just it was so oppressive. And with the Sejuani, like I can just imagine how this played out, right? We have the Lucena pushing in, Sejuani coming in and diving the set, and like at that point, if I'm Tomorrow, I'm really mad. I'm like, why are we picking center top? Like, guys, please, it is IBS. Please leave me alone. Me top lane, solo bolo. But yeah, and like it wasn't only Lucerus that popped up, right? We had the mid laner, Talon Pox. He was 10-0-14 on the Nico. Now that was impressive. And like ULEA, like after game one, they were like they definitely should have been like hyped up. Like they were like probably going to 2-0 the series. But then game two happened, and like I don't know. It seemed like game two was such a close game for both teams, right? We had Lo-Fi Foot Fetish on the Israel against Varus Nautilus in the bot lane. And like I think looking at just the end game screenshot, right? I believe Minami, I'm sorry if I
It's
butchered that.
Minami.
Minami, yeah. I think him and Lo-Fi Foot Fetish absolutely just carried Hyperion in game two and game three, I believe. So
Yeah, I mean, we're seeing some
yeah.
really interesting picks. I mentioned it briefly in my power rankings. Like, Lucerus is playing like Senna, Nocturne, and Aatrox, which are all like very strong like top laners when you're playing like for your lane. Really, like
Hmm.
you pick Nocturne as like a counter pick. I don't remember if Aatrox is blinded, but I know that Aatrox is still a very like it's a very bold pick. You kind of show
Yeah.
your cards when you pick Aatrox early in your draft. Yeah, overall, like I know that UEA was also trying some different strategies. Like week one, I think why they were so successful and why they did so well against CB Resurrection was Thresh. Thresh on Major Lag was a huge reason why they won. Um, yeah, and then this series I think they were trying to practice without relying on Thresh, which I honestly commend. I think it's important that you guys try out different strategies, different champions, but maybe that should be happening in scrims. Uh,
True.
True.
Yeah. Like when it comes to game time, I think even now, right? Like playoffs, it's still up for grabs. Like ULEA hasn't like clinched playoffs, so it's like
mhm.
I think trying out strategies if you're like should be for scrims, I think personally. But hey, they did it. They showed us. What do we know?
Yeah, I mean, I have nothing against practicing things, and it could be just growing pains, Like when you're trying something new, sometimes it doesn't always work out. So I'm looking forward to see how they play this week. This week they'll be against Feed the Dream, which I think is another strong team. So yeah, no, that's that series. But otherwise, Hyperion Shadow, I think, hasn't gotten a lot of credit for how well they've been playing throughout the series. The last time we saw them on stream was week three, against Feed the Dream. It was a really close series. It was 2-1. Well, the first game was, I think that was a really FTD favored game, and then the second game was like Lo-Fi got a penta on Jinx, like when they were all in their base, and then they just like ran it down to the enemy nexus and just won. Right. So I do think that
Hmm.
Hyperion Shadow has been like a good team, and I feel like they're gonna be just playing better as the weeks go by. But again, they have a bye this week, so I don't know. Maybe they're practicing some stuff in scrims. Who knows? But yeah, Sultan, do you have
Maybe.
anything to add to this series?
Well, I don't know. For Hyperion, I guess the only change was they subbed out Leper for Attila, the the gold Smurf who is
True.
just running silvers down. So, well, from what I see, for like the second game, I think ULA still played good, but was just kind of a bot mid gap. Not even mid, but bot gap, I guess you can say.
Hmm.
The lo-fi food fetish was like kind of popping off, having like CS gaps and like showing put a good KDA, and they just like brought it to third game and just like uh pulled the series for themselves. And I don't know, that was a I don't really follow Silver. I just like tune into streams from time to time, and of course I just read the really good content from our writers. So that's all I can say for now.
Yeah. Okay. So then we'll look at the next series, which is CB Resurrection versus Feed the Dream. So obviously, CB Resurrection was coming in with the old winning MIT roster from season one. They've had a few like roster changes. I know they swapped out. I know Accelerate hasn't really been playing on the roster. But it was One Hand who's been playing. I think One Hand has been doing really well, considering I think they were sub top lane one week. But Feed the Dream also has been playing really well, in my opinion. They've been, I think that like last week with this match of them against CB Resurrection, being able to even like pull off a game when this team has just been doing better and better with each coming week. I think that's not something to just kind of brush over.
Yeah.
I would have to double check. Like I don't remember who won.
It
Yeah, I think
was
the
It,
first game.
the first game, it was the first game,
Right, it
I
was the
the first
believe.
first
game
game
that
they lost,
FTD.
right?
It was the
Yeah.
first game
Yeah.
they lost, and then they reverse swept.
Man, where's Pitiful? His first link for the
Yeah, I was,
The
I was
the,
It
the
was a
thinking
first
that,
great
and
match
it's
was
game.
like,
not
well,
able to.
we're calling out Pitiful. Pitiful, what's going on here, man? Like
Pitiful,
the
please
defeat, we
fix.
can't see when you guys lost. What's going on?
Please
Yeah,
fix.
You
he's
trying to cover
making
it up?
sure people just like don't get any inside info to how to beat the team. So
Yeah, I
just some good
mean,
old safety.
I mean, again, like talking about their third game of the series, it was a 47-minute game. I just remember watching a bit of One Hand stream and seeing how close the game was. It was just like one fight would have decided it all. Um, Unfortunately, I didn't get to see how it ended, but it's pretty easy to guess.
It was an awkward match. Just from looking at the match history, it's like FTD has the Dragon Soul. Both teams open 2 inhibs, but then CB has. It took them 4 Barons to like end the game,
Yeah.
and it was like I guess the jungler and the ADC kind of popped off from what it looks like. One hand, kind of playing the scaling Callista at that point, I guess.
Scaling Callista, yeah.
And then like Tristan in the mid lane, like really good scaling comp. And like even then, it's like a pretty good matchup. Like it's just Viego, Echo, really good, strong assassins that can scale pretty good. I don't know about the Renduns on the Echo, but I guess it was like against the 2 ADC. You might wanna take it, I think. So
Hmm.
it looks good, but I'm not gonna lie. When I was first checking out the match history, like the post game things, I for a second thought it was the MIT roster. Because I saw like
Yeah.
Chinese Spy Ambition, and I was like, huh.
Yeah.
Oh, was it like MIT versus FTD? I had to double check, but CB, they're bringing in good players. They're playing good. One hand, I think he basically almost like just smurfed the last 2 games that they won, like 10 4 and 12 on Callista, 14 3 and 6 on Kog'Maw, a tank Kog'Maw. I don't know if that's the build now.
Tank
Vitsand,
Kog'Maw, yeah,
Runans
that's
into
a yeah.
Frostfire
That is,
Yeah,
randoms.
yeah,
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 that
that's a
is the
thing.
Korean cog build.
Yeah, that's a thing.
Yeah,
It's
so
really weird and gross, as you can see.
yeah, and obviously it worked. So that's a really good thing for them. And being able to like do these, I guess, kill mid flex picks basically, and then like being able to play this Silas top and Tristan the mid, like all about those flexes and being able to play them well. That's a huge thing for a team that wants to contest the top spot in the Silver League.
Yeah, I do think that CB Resurrection has a lot of like draft strategies that they can kind of pull out, and it's been helping them a lot because they're so flexible with it. So when it comes to FTD, I don't know exactly now moving forward what it's going to look like for them. Obviously, Merit and Uncool Squash are no longer on the rosters, so I thought that they had a really good mid jungle synergy, and overall, I thought everyone on their team played really well. So sorry, I'm like losing my voice. But basically, I do think that FTD had a really strong roster going forward. But yeah, now I'm not too sure. Like, who's gonna, you're gonna have some big shoes to fill if you're taking these two players' spots. So I don't have much to say on FTD since they took out two pretty big players.
Maybe the problem was the mid jungle synergy was good, but how was the mid jungle synergy compared to the rest of the team, right?
Yeah,
So
that's fair.
maybe, but I guess they're adding Timic for jungle. Well, it's gonna count as an E-sub if he plays, but his jump pool looks decent for silver. Definitely can carry some games. he has some good picks for himself. So let's hope the best for FTD moving on after the roster changes.
Yeah, so I mean, usually when players leave teams and stuff, it's just like probably an internal issue. Doesn't really matter like what it comes down to. If you guys just
Yeah,
don't get along and stuff happens, like I understand. You know, it happens.
happens all the time.
It happens all the time, especially when you're in like an IBS league. But
Yeah.
that's all I think I have to say on that series. Matt Pizza, any final thoughts?
No, I mean, I think then for me, the MVP of this series was One Hand, and I think he played ADC to a like to an exceptional level, right? Like he was 14-3 on the Kog'Maw and 10-4 on the Callista, and like I think he's definitely the star player on CBR.
Yeah, I'm not sure
Oh,
who's gonna be playing support. I should probably ask Zal if it's him or
Oh,
Night Blossom. But I do
all
think
right, hold
both
on.
of those
We're
supports are very good for CB
mhm.
Resurrection. Like
We're
I'm
gonna have to give it. We have sorry. I'm sorry to
I'm
cut you in,
actually
but I have
dying.
to
I'm
do this.
losing my voice. It's okay.
We have to talk about Zell since he's going off in chat right now. All right, Zell, you did a good job. Okay,
yeah.
we can move
I,
on.
I I I guess it wasn't bad. You helped a little bit. Like
Just a
in the
little
end,
bit.
you're a support. Like you don't matter. It's all about the ADC.
Oh my god. All right. All right. So then we'll look at the Solari division. So Abyssal Emerald versus CBK, like I said earlier. I honestly think that if Abyssal Emerald didn't use their ESUB, I think that would have been a win for CPK. CPK definitely played well. They're I don't know, like we always go back to Red Panda Reximus. Like obviously they are one of the strongest bot lanes, especially in the Solari division, let alone the whole league. Yeah, I mean, honestly, if this whole series was played out, I do think CPK would have been able to pull the win. But again, stuff happens. We had like a 1 hour stream. My life was so good. You know, right after the stream, I got to like leave and I got to go walk my dog. You know, it was nice. But
So thanks for Abyssal for smurfing
yeah, thanks
from
to Bissell. Thanks
Exernian.
for smurfing. I actually got to enjoy my Friday night for once. All right. So I don't have much to say about that series. Then we'll look at MIT versus Big Duck Entourage. So, Sultan, as you know, Big Duck Entourage, I'm very sure, yeah, they're currently winless, I think, in this. Oh, no, never mind. I'm looking at.
They have like
No, that's
they
in
probably have
gold,
one
right?
win.
In gold, right?
In
Yeah,
gold,
in
they're
gold they
winless.
don't.
Yeah.
Yeah. So they're winless in gold, but currently in Solari they are 2-2. I do think they started 2-0 to the season. They won their first two series, and then they've lost their last two series. So week 3 they lost 2-1 to Junior Burgers, and last week they lost obviously 2-0 to MIT. So Sultan, you're a
Yeah.
BDE fan for gold.
Uh, am I? Am I? I
Are
don't know,
you?
but okay. Let me start. So I don't hate BD, so I will just put on my BD shirt for a while. Um, I think BD has like a solid roster. I kind of know some of the players that they're playing with. Before the season started, I helped them with the team for a while, but then I had some IRL, and then I was playing for team, so I had to leave. But they have like some really good players, especially like Sidestone. Um, Puber is also playing it for the silver team, which is like Puber has been doing decent in the gold league, so he's probably really good for silver. They have Reno, who I think before he played for VBO,
Yep.
and he won the DGG silver with them, if I'm not wrong. Like you guys maybe can uh uh correct me on that. And they have like really good subs still, so I think they have potential. But in the end, they're going against the MIT, the God team, the best silver team to ever exist, with Rocker Jungle, Merciful Crow mid. Like they just played an insane series. I the games, they did go for 36 and 32 minutes, but it doesn't really look close. I think it just like took a little while for MI2 to close out the games, but it didn't look like they had a lot of problems, especially like first game. everyone in the team having one death and Merciful Crow having a perfect game. It looked really strong, like what we expected from MIT after last season. Just basically coming into the playoffs and then just like almost sweeping the playoffs.
Hmm. And like going off of you, Sultan, I do think like game one, MIT like actually just showed up and like they only died 4 times, MIT, the whole of them. And like all 4 of those deaths were concentrated on Pooper. Everyone else on the side of BDE was killless. And like game one, it was just an absolute stomp, right? Um, and then game two, it was a little bit closer. It was 22 to 16 in favor of MIT. Um, and then one thing I do want to mention is their bot lane, right? Killastair and Rakan out. I
Yeah.
mean, they're just locked in on Silver Rakan jail, I guess. Like switching between the two post game screenshots, BTS, Jungkook, Jason KB, and Merciful Crow, they got to play different champs, but their bot lane was stuck on the Silver Rakan, and I feel bad for them. I mean,
Yeah.
but then again, imagine playing Rakan in comp. Am I right, Exonian?
Thinner boots.
True.
That's all I can
True.
say. No one.
But
Okay, unless you actually listen to me watch games, I will point out center boots on support. I won't say what they are, but center boots were
Mobies.
bought that game. That's
They
all I can
sinned.
say.
But I would say I think BD at least for the second game, like harem issues and Koje Paras. I don't know how to say that, but they played a really good bot lane. Like the affiliate was 9-4. It was almost like right there, the 200 years, the broken thing. But in the end, MIT was able to pull a win. But BD looked, I would say, decent. Like when you're against a really strong opponent, sometimes just showing that you can at least give them some trouble would even show is a good sign. It's just, I think they have a potential for sure. It's just, they just need to find a better team playstyle that fits them. But I think they can for sure just be a really good team going into playoffs if they can improve a little more.
Yeah, I mean, BDE has a bunch of roster changes. I think that are still not on the roster sheet. Um, I don't know if their top laner has enough games on their main account, or sorry, they got
Uber
they
diff.
got banned on their main, right?
Oh, I don't know, but if it happened, sad.
Uh, and then they're starting mid. Poober's not on the team anymore, and then one of their subs apparently ranked out, and you
Just a
know,
bunch of
there's a bunch of stuff going on. We'll have to look at that after the pregame show here. But, we're going to get into the bread and butter of the show, the predictions. So, obviously, Clutch isn't here to explain his UEA prediction. But honestly,
Oh,
Matt Pizza and I are on the same team of 2-1 FTD. But Sultan, you said 2-0 FTD.
mm, I would probably, if I knew that Merit and Uncle Squash was gonna leave, I would have said either 2-1 FTD or 2-1 Unlucky Sports.
Yeah.
And I think I can see why Clutch went with 2-1 Unlucky because FTD losing their mid jungle and like Merit has been like
So
a jungle powerhouse
yeah, so
for the
quick
Silver
note
Leagues.
for people watching. I did make these uh 2 nights ago. I usually make the graphics a few days in advance. So I actually made this before we knew of the FTD roster changes. So I think if I were to redo my prediction, I would have probably said 2-1 UEA.
Mm,
Obviously, I can't change it anymore unless I, do a little
I
bit of
would
the movie
movie
magic.
magic.
I would still say the FTD would win 2-1 because although their mid jungle is gone now, which was really important players for them, they still have Mystic Azia and Nerf Snugglebutt, which as far as I know from like me following ZGG and like EDL this season, they have been like a really good players. They've been like solid players who have been putting solid performances for their team, especially for FTD. And why not again? Like Chubby Chernobyl also, I've heard his name before from the IBS scene. I think they can win games for sure, especially against Unlucky. They have a good team, which they did beat same strategy the other day. So I guess this will be Unlucky Esports kind of trying to show that they can beat a better team, but I don't know how I would see FTD. Like it depends on who they will be playing as a mid jungle on that team. I'm assuming they're gonna E sub Timic, but who will be playing mid lane? That's a question mark. So I would still say 2-1 FTD though, because they're bot and top lane. As far as I know, they're really good players.
Yeah, I don't know. It's a bit up in the air for me now. Like I said, I made this graphic before the roster changes, so relax on the flame, people. um, I would I would have put 2-1 UEA if I had known. But Matt Pizza, would your prediction have changed?
I do think my predictions would have changed. I do think if we knew about the roster change in advance, I probably would have said 2-1 UEA as well, along with Clutch. Um, but we can't do that. We choose them and we lock them, like, and that's just how it goes.
Yeah, so I guess how it is. I guess yeah, for me, it really came down to how well I saw I guess the previous iteration of FTD was playing. I guess it really depends. Now, I do think that UEA is more favored coming into this matchup, especially if we give Major Lag like Thresh at least one game. But it really depends. Um, yeah, there's not too much left to say then on this series from my end. Matt Pizza, do you have any closing thoughts?
None from me. I do think you for the side of UEA, this is now a more favored matchup for you guys. Um, and I mean, we'll see what you guys can do. So
The only question I'm going to ask, is the week 2 match between Unlucky and same strategy? Is it like gonna be rescheduled or what?
Oh, that got played.
that
Like,
did get
Oh,
played, yeah.
yeah,
okay.
that like finally got
Okay.
played. This is 2-0
Oh,
you.
they did play. Oh, that was the
Yeah, it was
game the
two
other
zero for
day.
ULEA.
Okay. So Unlucky is like 2 wins. Okay, okay.
Yeah. So, okay. Yeah, it's not hard to really say too much, especially when rosters change. It kind of throws a stick into a lot of people's reasons
Mines,
why
I
they
guess.
predicted teams. But honestly, I think the one shining light, like, so I do think that both of these teams have some really good bot lanes. Like I said before, Major Leg and Mystic Ozzy, both of those two supports I think are, really good supports in at least the Lunari division, right? Mystic Ozzy, I've recognized since season one. They e-subbed and then they were on the starting roster for Rev, and then they played really well throughout the season. Yeah, and then UEA, like obviously they have Major Lag, and then they got um like D up Rosemary. I do think they're a strong. I think they're gonna be a strong bot lane, right? So,
Hmm.
but yeah, I think their bot lanes in this. The bot lanes are probably gonna be the biggest factor. I think this series, but yeah, not much left to say. So I guess we'll go on to the next game. CB Resurrection versus same strategy. We're all looking a little one-sided again. Obviously, I think this is I did say 2-1 CB Resurrection, and Sultan, you said the same as well. So, what do you think the one game that they lose is going to come down to?
Um, CB Cup. They tend to sometimes lose dumb games, and I would have said something maybe if Pitiful sent the screenshot right from the match from last week, but from what I can say, I think they have a really good roster. Like they still like I know Ambition. He's a really good jungler that I've also known for a while now. One Hand has been performing really good. I believe that they're going to win, but I think they might just drop a game Like same strategy has not been playing the best, but I don't know. In the end, it's silver. Anything can happen. So I didn't want to like straight up give them a 2-0. And I think, as far as I know, some of these players that are on the same strategy roster was on RAR's silver team before the league started, and like I've seen them play, and they were not bad. I think it was the Chelsea and Ashabot, so they might just pull out a win, I believe.
Yeah, I mean, it
So
really comes down to who shows up on game day, I believe. I think, I don't know why the Chelsea is on the roster twice. Who is our silver roster slave that we have to yell at?
yeah. And then
Hmm.
Orbit is the captain, right? Like
Yeah.
the silver prodigy himself. He is coaching. He is the captain. He got this. He can at least give his team a win just by the draft gap. So
Is he the
it's an
same
Orbit gap
orbit I saw one time
in
Clutch
ZGG.
Clutch was streaming a ZZG game and then he died under
Probably.
tower. He's playing set or
Probably.
something.
Yeah, probably, I
Good
would say.
times. Good times. That was a long time ago now. But okay. But yeah,
Yeah.
I do think it's 2-1 to CB because well, same strategy has pulled off wins from I what I consider really good teams. Like obviously week 1, they took a game off of Feed the Dream, and then the second week they oh wait, that was the rescheduled week. But then the third week they pulled a game off of TFA, which I also think is one of the stronger teams in the division. So I say this every week. I do think that same strategy like isn't a bad team. There's obviously like, there's obviously something. There's potential that's like very close to, kind of peaking out from there because same strategy. They're not winning just like off. I don't think they're winning just because like, the team decides like, oh no, we just want to play a full 3 game series. Let's just like FF this game. I think that like they have something that gets them wins, right? I think they would be doing better in this league if it was instead of a best of 3, it was a best of 1, because then you could pull out your cheese strategies and you could find that like one thing that works, right? There are strategies that can win you games but not full series, right? So I think that same strategy is probably in that category. And we're at week 5, right? We're at a
Yeah.
point in the season where it's like we really have to find something that works and stick with it.
Yeah.
We don't need to be the most flexible team, most versatile team. We just need to find something that like consistently gets us at least, 2 wins in a best of 3 instead of just one.
Yeah.
So,
And
mhm.
like I think same strategy's bot lane has been playing really good. Like the series that they lost to ULEA, their bot lane, like Asmoke and Vidon, I guess, they played really good both games. One on a Zaya game and a Samira game for the EDC was 6-3 and 3, and like not up, but at least having a decent CS. So like their bot lane is showing some promise, and if the mid jungle can start playing better, they might actually like they might be pulling some wins over some of these teams that might look better than them.
Yeah, I guess it really does depend like how they I don't know, like what they bring into the series. There's a lot on the
Yeah.
line. If you beat CB Resurrection, then you're definitely like
So,
showing some real good promise. So,
yeah.
that's my prediction on it. So, Matt Pizza, you said 2-0 CB Resurrection. Any
Hmm.
big reasons why?
I mean, okay, I think from the showing, from what like past games have showed us, CB Resurrection, they're a strong team. They're a really strong team, and same strategy. I don't want to say that they're a bad team, right? We don't want to say that they're a bad team, but I think they're just not able to like take down the Titan that is CB Resurrection. Um, but I mean, then again, if they are able to like actually win a best of 3 against CB Resurrection, then Stream strategy is gonna look really good, like you said. They're gonna be like, we'll have our eyes more focused on them if they do win this series. But at the moment, I do think it's heavily CB Resurrection favored, and I do think just to get rosters, right? I do think CB Resurrection just has the better team overall. Like they do have Chinese spy burners. Um,
Yeah, yeah,
yeah.
exactly. Like I said, just the versatility of CB Resurrection has been able to get them wins in series, right? So
Hmm.
really comes down to that and just who shows up and how they do, who wakes up on the better side of the bed that day. But
For
okay,
sure.
then we'll look at our next series. We have CPK versus BDE. So I'm not exactly sure the roster that's coming in for BDE. They have a few players that we need to double check their eligibility on. But honestly, overall, CPK, like, I know we were kind of memeing on them at the beginning of the season, especially like kind of week one, where we laughed at Matt Pizza. But honestly, I do think that CPK has been showing a lot of promise coming into the season. Last week, obviously, we didn't really get to see them play. So I'm pretty sure Clutch mentioned that for playoffs, they should have priority if they're in playoffs. But I do think they are a strong contender. They're currently 3-1 in the season. Unfortunately, two of those wins were like due to player ineligibilities and whatnot, but
Listen, wins are wins, okay? CPK, they're making it to finals. They're gonna win it all. And you guys were like, why do you think CPK is gonna win week one? And then they won, and then they kept winning. Okay, so all I'm
honestly,
Uh,
saying is, I'm
honestly,
winning, and you guys
my,
aren't.
you okay? So I want to talk because I think my prediction kind of stands out as being the only
yeah.
BDE
That's
winner.
why
Yeah.
I said you're a
So
BDE fan.
I will say this, and I'm like going straight off the schedule, right? So Crossplaying 2-0 Merciless Esports, who is unfortunately not in the league anymore. Week two, they got FF win because Junior Burgers was playing with an eligible player. Week three, they had another FF. Next, no, they did they? No, they got 2-0 by Monkeys, which is understandable. And last week they got another FF win. So their only actual win that they were able to close out the game was against a team that is not in the league anymore. And looking at BD, they 2-0'd Abyssal, which I think dropped last week, right?
Yep.
And they again they beat they have two wins, like an actual series that didn't end up as an FF. I think I don't know. I just feel like BD has a better chance at winning this because like they lost to Junior Burgers 2-1. And I don't know how it would happen between Junior Burgers and Crosspoint if there wasn't an ineligible player, but I don't know, it just looks really even when I see like they both lost to MIT 2-0. They both lost the actual series 2-1 to Junior Burgers. And in the end BD has I don't know, I feel like their roster looks better than what CPK has. I
Hmm.
kind of went with the 2-1 for BD.
Yeah, I mean, you do bring up some really good points. CPK, I feel like their record is maybe a bit padded, but at the same time, I don't think so because you know they had those. I still think they played really well in that one game they got to play against the Bizzle. Um, like I said earlier, I do think I do think they still could have won that series if they had played out the whole thing. It's hard for me to say against the Junior Burgers series since I didn't really get to watch that, but again, I do think that CPK we're maybe sleeping on them. Like sure they they have some of the free quote unquote free wins, but end of the day, I do think that CPK is a good team coming into it, but yeah, I don't know. Sultan, I'm not too sure about the BDE prediction. I don't even know who's playing. Are they playing? Like Matt Pizza, do you have an update on that as
I
well?
believe in them. I believe
I
in them.
do not have an update at the moment.
Well, that's unlucky.
It's okay.
Hmm.
I'm with the Ducks. I've been a Duck fan since Penzor started Daddy's Ducklings, and
True.
it's been a thing of mine ever since.
All right.
Ducks till the
Unfortunately,
end.
there's not much we can say on this series since I don't know who's playing for BDE, but then we will look at our last and streamed match. of the week. So
Yeah.
it's looking a little one-sided. Again, I don't know who's playing on Junior Burgers. They have a lot of players that aren't on the roster anymore. Like Darling Panda is not on the roster anymore, I believe. Um, so I really don't know. Like a lot of rosters are up in the air. Who's our silver roster? Slave Matt Pizza?
I think it's Tex.
Uh-huh,
Uh,
uh-huh. He's saying it's Tex,
yeah,
guys.
I
So
think it's Tex.
I think someone has some rosters to update after this stream, so
Yeah, total. Yeah, I'll let Tex know. Don't worry.
you'll let Tex know. I'm sure he knows. So I mean, it's pretty obvious why we are all on the side of MIT. Obviously, MIT is still undefeated in this season. Overall, like, so they're going against Junior Burgers this week, obviously the streamed match, and the next week they technically have a free win, and then the week after that they have another free win. So like, if MIT doesn't drop this series, then they would have, won every series like within their division. So then in the cross divisional game in week 8, they're against Unlucky Esports Academy. So MIT, nothing to scoff at either. I just think they were strong coming into the season and they've been strong all season. There's not really much to say. So I don't know. They do have they got their BOL Gold Championship coach Toxin.
Oh yes.
Yeah. So
He got boosted by me and Athena. Oh.
Yo, leaks.
Whoa.
Uh, Toxin, the weak side ADC player.
True. We put him on lethality silver duty, even though he should have won attack speed. Uh-oh.
Even though he should have
Uh,
built crit,
uh,
but it's okay.
uh,
Guys, we
Yeah.
can't really
it
talk. He has the
happened.
chip. We
It
don't like.
happened.
Yeah,
I
true.
guess we
He
need to
has
just
a
shut up.
BOL gold chip. I don't, so.
Yeah,
Yeah, we
thanks
can't.
for
We
thanks
can't
for
really
I can't
blame him.
talk.
well, I have a BO gold chip, so I can talk.
Okay,
Oh,
okay.
okay.
Alright,
Ooh,
please
like
enlighten us, Sultan, with your BOL gold chip.
I don't know, but okay, like Toxin coaching, it showed last split. They won both leagues, ZGG, EDL, and they're going for their second back-to-back chips, as Doki would say.
The
So,
chips with the 1 and the
the,
Z.
yes, sir, chibs, as
The
I would say.
chibs. The
But
chibs.
yeah, but like I think they just have a solid roster against the not stable roster, and their roster has been winning for two splits. Like there isn't much to say about. They're like the new G2 of Silver League. So
That makes sense. Matt Pizza, do you have any
I
reason then?
guess. I guess just piggybacking off of what Sultan said. I do think the stability of MIT helps a lot, right? Like I like MIT, CPK, and Rev for Stellari. Like those are some pretty stable teams, right? We haven't like seen any massive roster change. We haven't seen like just absolute like yeah, move this guy. Like we weren't bombarded. We're just like we're chilling. But I do think the stability, like going back onto that, it does help a lot. It does a lot for scrims. It does a lot for like refining strategies and like just better cohesiveness of the team. And it allows like, I mean, it shows, right? It's showing as MIT being one of the top teams, being undefeated.
Yeah. I
Like it.
technically put the one game as a loss because, maybe Packapal is watching and then he like tells them to be one Nocturne or something. I don't know.
Oh,
I'm not flaming
yeah,
Packapal. We're good
i-
friends.
if Paul gets into coaching, Burger Foot wins.
ooh, that's
He's
toxic.
okay. He's probably not listening, but that'll
the
reach him. You'll
the
know.
safety that will reach him. The 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 IBS players will tell him for
Yeah.
sure.
Yeah, but yeah, I mean, the series I did say 2-1 for MIT. Okay, it's really hard for me to really say 2-0 or 2-1. I can see this being a 2-0, but I can also being this being a 2-1 under certain, different circumstances. Okay, again, I made these graphics like Wednesday night, okay? So, Junior Burgers before they made all these roster changes and whatever, I honestly thought that Junior Burgers has a strong roster on paper. Like, you have these talented players coming in. They're obviously able to take wins and series off of other teams, but I don't know. Roster changes are like the bane of my existence.
True indeed.
I agree.
We should just leave it up like a clean page for the scene, and then you should just like do the magic every time they do a roster change.
Oh yeah, so
I
where
think that
I
would
just
be a good idea.
handwrite them all on and then
Yes,
yeah.
yes, indeed.
A little bit of that movie magic.
Yeah, my graphics would look really really good if I did that instead. I agree.
Yeah. You're smurfing with the handwriting though.
Yeah, I should go look at that gold week before when I did the movie magic. But overall, I don't know if there's too much to really add to this series other than I just think MIT is just gonna win.
Yeah.
Indeed.
And it is week 5, so we do have 2 more weeks of in-divisional games and then one cross-divisional game, and then it's the big playoffs. And like we're getting to the point where we'll see teams who have made the playoffs and teams who have unfortunately not made the playoffs. So we are getting close to the end of EDL.
Yeah, I
Uh,
mean that's all I can say. This is our streamed match, 8 p.m. Eastern. If you guys aren't playing, tune in. And I don't have a video to send you guys off with, but overall, I think that is all we have for you guys tonight. Again, that's 6 p.m. my time. I'm a mountain timer. 8 p.m. Eastern. So make sure you guys tune in, and hopefully we'll see you guys there.
yeah. Instead, we send you off with a lot of love. So go win your
True.
Love and
games,
care.
guys.
Okay, okay. We sent you guys off with a lot of love.